We are recording.
Oh, boy, all right. That's exciting. We are recording. How's everybody doing this evening? Ready?
Mike,
All right, let's get the show on the road.
Sky or Mike?
All right, so this is the Suamico Village Board meeting for Monday, December 16th, 2024. The time is 6 p.m. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. And a reminder for anyone in the audience, should you wish to speak to an item, please come to the microphone, provide your name and address for the public record, if you would. So at this time, I would look for a motion to approve the evening's agenda.
So moved.
Trustee Romas has offered a motion to approve the evening's agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second from Trustee Neto to approve the evening's agenda. Any other further questions or discussion on the evening's agenda? Very well, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed. Motion to approve the evening's agenda passes 7-0. At this time, let's stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Item number 5 this evening is the area that we reserve for public appearances. So this is for anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to an item not on the agenda. This is your opportunity to share your thoughts, your ideas, whatever it might be, with the board. We ask that you come to the microphone, provide your name and an address, and let us know what's on your mind. Is there anyone out there, who wishes to speak to an item not on the agenda? Very well. Seeing no one, we'll move on. Item number 6 this evening is the consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of previous minutes of the village board dated December 2nd, 2024. Item B, November 2024 municipal court reports. Item C, November 2024 recreation report. Item D, November 2024 treasurer's report. And item E, request by Joe Sturkey, 2970 School Lane for approval of a one-lot CSM on parcel SU 322. Is there anyone who would like to offer a motion on the consent agenda, or is there discussion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Trustee Eckert has offered a motion to approve this evening's consent agenda. That has been seconded by Trustee Romas. Any other further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed. Motion to approve the consent agenda is approved 7-0. Item number 7 this evening is planning and zoning. 7A, a public hearing, a request by Joe Sturkey to rezone Lot 1 of the two-lot certified survey map on parcel SU 322 from agriculture to rural residential at 2970 School Lane. Zoning Administrator Dunks.
Thank you. This is the certified survey map that was just approved in your consent agenda. The Lot 1 is required to be rezoned. It is less than 5 acres in size and thus cannot remain agricultural. The property will be served by private sewer and water. The 50,000 square foot would have been the minimum lot size. It's still well above that. Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval of the rezone. Thank you.
All right, are there any questions for Zoning Administrator Dunks on this item? If there are no questions, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to this item? Let it be noted, there is no one in the audience coming forward to speak to this item. Therefore, if there are no questions for Zoning Administrator Dunks and there is no one in the audience who wishes to speak to this item, then I would look for a motion from the board. Anyone care to offer a motion?
Mr. President, so you would close the public hearing, and then the next item would be the action on that amendment.
Thank you for the clarification. So do I need a motion to close?
You would just close it as the president, chair of the meeting.
Okay. So let it be noted that the public hearing is closed. And now we will look for a motion. Be aware that there are two separate motions to be required.
Just one, no.
Oh, because we approved the one on the consent agenda.
Correct.
Okay. Anyone care to offer that motion? I would offer a motion to approve the single lot certified survey map to rezone the lot as stated. Do I need to go through all the conditions? I guess I should.
Would there be any conditions on the rezone?
No, the CSM was the conditions. So you're just looking for approval of the ordinance,
Ordinance 2014?
correct?
2024-14.
Oh, okay, so I offer a motion to approve ordinance 2024-14, a rezone of Lot 1 of the certified survey map on parcel SU 322 from agriculture to rural residential. Is there a second to that
Second.
motion? And I have a second from trustee Andrews. Any other further questions or discussion on this item? All right, all those in favor?
I will
Aye.
have a roll call.
Yes, it is.
Trustee Andrews.
Aye.
Trustee Eckert.
Aye.
Trustee Neto.
Aye.
Trustee Gomez.
Aye.
Trustee McKeefery.
Aye.
Trustee Stevens.
Aye.
President Van Rossum.
Aye,
Motion carries unanimously, 7-0. Thank you.
thank you. Okay. So that was actually item 7B, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you. I got confused because we had E underneath the consent agenda, and then it was under A as well. But there is no A because it was moved to the consent agenda, correct?
Well, no, A was your public hearing.
I got it. Okay, now I'm caught
D
up.
was your action on the public hearing.
Never too old to learn.
But yes, typically your CSM is part of that, but it didn't, we had some issues that were found until after the agenda was complete and already delivered to you guys, and to renumber everything would have been confusing, so we did it that way.
It's all right, we got through it.
It's confusing anyway.
It was just fine. We got
I'm
through
still
it.
confused.
No, it was
Good.
confusing.
Okay, is everybody unconfused enough that we can move on to the
Yes.
next item?
Yes.
Let us
All right,
move on to
that's-
7C.
That's what we'll do then. All right, so we're going to move to item 7C. This is an amendment to Chapter 19, the Floodplain District Zoning Administrator Dunks.
Thank you. During the audit of our community rating system, it was discovered that one section of our floodplain code is not in compliance with the CRS requirements. That would be section 19.06, non-conforming uses. It deals with the mechanicals and their elevation above floodplain. It's just a minor change. Currently, we are receiving a 15% discount on all flood insurance policies in Suamico. Failure to revise the code would result in removal of all those discounts. CRS is a program with standards above FEMA's requirements. Most of what they require are still part of the Wisconsin code, which is also more restrictive than FEMA's code. Your planning commission did recommend approval of the change.
All right. Are there any questions for zoning administrator Dunks on this item? None. This is a public hearing, so I would like to open the public hearing for anyone in the audience to come forward and speak to this item if you wish. Again, this is the amendment to Chapter 19, the Floodplain District. Anyone? Let it be known no one wishes to come forward and speak, so we will close the public hearing. So with that being stated, we are looking for a suggested motion to approve or deny the ordinance 2024-15, amending Chapter 19 of the Floodplain District. I would go ahead and offer a motion to approve this, as we've been through this a number of times, so this shouldn't be new to anybody, right? Anybody have any questions? Otherwise, is there a second?
Second.
We got a second from trustee Neto. Any other questions? No? All right. Do we need a, no, we don't need a roll call.
We'll take a roll call.
Thank you.
Trustee Eckert.
Aye.
Trustee Neto.
Aye.
Trustee Gomez.
Aye.
Trustee McKeefery.
Aye.
Trustee Stevens.
Aye.
Trustee Andrews.
Aye.
President Van Rossum.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously, 7-0. Thank you.
All right. So now we are off to 7D, which is action on ordinance 2024-15, amending chapter 19.06 of the floodplain district regarding
Just
non.
what you just did. Sorry.
What?
We're on E now.
E, sorry. Request by Grant and Susan Weary, 3692 North Lakeview Drive, for approval of a two-lot certified survey map as prepared by Verbicker for parcel SU 247-1, zoned rural residential. Zoning Administrator Dunks.
Thank you. We are looking at about a 10 1/4 acre parcel here. It does have a single-family home and a greenhouse operation. The home is being split off. This is more for estate planning. The Weirys have operated this at least since 1998, when the original conditional use was approved. It was revised in 2003, which allows that use on this property. Their son is taking over the operations, the day-to-day operations, and this is just part of the planning of that process. Staff has already notified Brown County that we would like the lot number 2 to retain the original parcel number, so there's no confusion with any conditional use permits or that which were granted. It will remain on lot number 2. Should lot number 1 and lot number 2 ever become separated in ownership. As long as they're under common ownership, we're not gonna do anything. Most of the operations taking place out of that lot number 2 anyway, so it won't create any issues. The property will be served by, or is served by private sewer and water. It is in our sewer service area, but there still are no plans to expand to the north. The lots do appear to meet all the requirements of our rural residential zoning. Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend for approval with the 2 conditions. The conditional use for the greenhouse operations will remain with lot number 2, and then meeting all other requirements, ordinances, regulations, and reviewing agencies. Thank you.
Okay, are there questions for Zoning Administrator Dunks on this item?
It's connected to residential sewer.
No,
And
it's in the sewer service area.
in the area,
But we
okay.
do not have service there, and we have no plans.
Okay, how far away is that?
Quarter mile?
Yeah, maybe like 3-4
Okay.
deep.
Okay, I say that because, I mean, obviously, not an issue here at this time, but whenever possible, we have to look at spots that would be good for extending that water, because we got to pay for it. But,
I can't imagine we're going to extend water without extending sewer.
no,
And it's going to take a
so
lift
it's
station.
not appropriate here,
It's gonna take a
and
lift
that's
station.
why.
No,
I
but your point is a very good one.
Yeah.
And it's something we've talked about, and it's something that I think,
And something everybody has to be aware of, newer people included, and just people in general.
and I'm glad to hear you say what you've said, in the open, and you've said it before, but to have it on the public record is important, particularly for some of the things that we're going to be discussing, with the new plan coming up. So that's wonderful.
That,
Thank you.
the tower and that well have to be paid for.
That'll all be
and-
part of it.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to offer a motion when you're ready.
Is there other questions, discussions, or comments on this? Otherwise, Trustee Romas is willing to offer a motion this evening.
I would like to make the motion that we approve a 2-lot certified survey map as prepared by Verbicker on parcel SU-247-1 with the following conditions. 1, the conditional use for the greenhouse operations will remain with lot 2. 2, meet the requirements of all other applicable ordinances, regulations, and reviewing agencies.
So Trustee Romas has offered a motion to approve the 2-lot certified survey map for SU 247-1. Is there a second to Trustee Romas's?
Second.
And that is second from Trustee Andrews on that. All right, very good. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, let's move forward. You want to do a roll call on this one? We're going to do a
Let's do
roll
it.
call on everything.
No,
Let's do 'em.
need to, but if you want to.
Let's do it.
All right. Trustee Neto.
Aye.
Trustee Romas.
Aye.
Trustee McKeefery.
Aye.
Trustee Stevens.
Aye.
Trustee Andrews.
Aye.
Trustee Eckert.
Aye.
President Van Rossum.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously, 7-0.
I think that even though in this case, not doing a roll call on this because of the importance of this and this being in a sewered area and a water, potentially water area, having it on the record for how the board is voting to support these kind of things, it's kind of important. So I appreciate your indulgence. All right, let's look at item 7F this evening. 7F is the Sunny Meadows Development Agreement, and we get to go to Administrator Kaker.
Thank you. So included in your packet is the draft development agreement for the Sunny Meadows subdivision or plats, which was approved back in November, maybe October. And part of that condition was a development agreement, so that's included in your packet. Happy to answer any questions you may have. I did make 2 very minor tweaks to it since the packet was created. One was adjusting the signature line, and the other was adding a completion date for construction for December 31st of 2025, instead of saying by the end of the 2025 construction season. So that's the only difference in the language that's been printed and is ready to be signed if approved. Any questions on it?
Go ahead if you have
No,
questions.
I'm just going to say, whenever you're ready. I'll offer a motion.
Scott, did you need to say anything? No. All right.
Anyone with questions, comments?
Where'd you come up with the name? Sounds nice.
All right,
I'd be honored to offer a motion to approve the Sunny Meadows Development Agreement.
Trustee Romas has offered the motion this evening to approve the Sunny Meadows Development Agreement. Is there a second?
Second.
And I have a second from Trustee McKeefery. Very good. Any other questions or comments on this item? All right, let's stay with keeping with the theme. Let's do this as a roll call.
Trustee Romes.
Aye.
Trustee McKeefery.
Aye.
Trustee Stevens.
Aye.
Trustee Andrews.
Aye.
Trustee Eckert.
Aye.
Trustee Neto.
Aye.
President Van Rossum.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously, 7-0. Thank
Very
you.
good, thank you. Okay, item 8 this evening is an administrative item. The administrative item is ordinance 2024-10, creating Chapter 14 Cemetery. Clerk Bartoletti, this is a second reading, however, there was the proviso on this, correct?
We did have, Trustee Romas did a deep dive into it and had several questions, comments, changes. So we have presented those to the attorney, and she will be taking a look at those and giving us her opinion. So we will be coming back in January with what she's putting forth. So
Do we need a motion to
Tonight-
table, or?
we, either that or we could start over and do a first reading with the changes and then proceed with a second reading at the following meeting in January.
I have a question on this, isn't the process we're supposed to make revisions before the first reading?
Well, the idea is, yeah, when you're
Yeah.
presented the first reading, that, any questions, concerns, revisions, and then brought forth to the second is a little bit better product. But in this case, it just didn't work out with the timing. So we want to get this right for our cemetery. It's very important. So I feel that, pushing it off to the January meeting is the right thing to do, to make sure that we're getting this right.
There were
the
also
way we want to see it.
modifications made to it by the committee, I believe, on this one that changed the wording.
Right, so
And
there
that's
were some
primarily
changes.
the items that
Yep.
it's pointing out.
Yep, there were some changes.
So would it be beneficial for us as a board to review the comments, give them back to you, so that we can only go to the attorney once versus twice? Or maybe
If
3
anyone
times?
else does, Michelle put forth some revisions
Right.
that were basically cosmetic, grammar. But if anyone does have some same sentiments, by all means, get that back to me, and we'll make sure that, if it's different than from what trustee Romas, because you do have on the dais his revisions and his comments.
Right.
So you can review those, and if you do have something that you want addressed outside of that or even within that, by all means, get it to me, and we'll make sure that we work through it for the January 6th meeting.
Do you need those by when?
We'll be putting the packet together on Wednesday before, which is,
Well, we won't be because it'll be Christmas, but
yeah.
Geez, let her finish.
I guess as soon as possible would be my,
No, it'd be New Year's.
it'd be New Year's, right,
So this week you need it?
No,
next week,
Well, this,
next week,
okay.
which is
So
Christmas
if there's
week.
any changes, get it to you by Friday of this week, so you can give it to the attorney.
That sounds great.
and this
Thank
is
you.
kind of a unique animal. We typically, it's very rare for us to have an ordinance that adopts an entirely new section. I don't think I've actually had it in the 5 years that I've been here that we've created a new section. So we're kind of working through it together.
It hasn't been real long since we took over the cemetery, and it makes sense to take the right time.
Yes.
And we haven't had one for 6 years for the cemetery, so it's not like we're in any pressing need to get it approved tonight.
Right, but it will be ideal to have that all laid out and for the cemetery director and for staff to follow up with what we need to do with the cemetery.
So would you prefer to have a motion to refer this back to staff for review, or are we, I think we're good.
I think we are,
I don't think we need a motion. Unless that.
especially if we're going
I-
to start over.
I would say, actually, the cleanest way would be to deny it, deny the ordinance. We'll document that, and then we'll come back in January with a new ordinance, with a new number, and you would review that, so it's cleaner.
Okay, I'll make the motion to deny the ordinance.
So you're making a motion to deny ordinance.
I'll clean that up. I'll make the motion to deny the ordinance 2024-10 as presented or with modifications that have been already provided.
Okay. Trustee Romas has offered the motion to deny ordinance 2024-10, creating chapter 14 for the cemetery per Clerk Bartoletti. Is there a second to trustee Romas's motion?
I'll second.
Trustee McKeefery has offered a second to trustee Romas's motion. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Do you want me to roll call it?
Yes, please.
Trustee McKeefery.
Aye.
Trustee Stevens.
Aye.
Trustee Andrews.
Aye.
Trustee Eckert.
Aye.
Trustee Neto. Trustee Romas.
Aye.
President Van Rossum.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously, 7-0. Thank you.
All right. Off to item 9A this evening, Resolution 24017, adopting the 2024 water and sewer utilities budgets. Director Demeny.
All right, so water and sewer utility budgets. In the packet, you guys have the water budget detail, the operating statement, the water impact fee statement, the sewer budget detail, the operating statement for sewer, utility debt service, utility capital budget, comparison of rates, and the proposed updated fee schedule. So what I did for tonight is put together a PowerPoint to summarize all the detail that was provided in the packet. So for the water utility, for '25, there is no projected rate increase. However, we have included an increase for '26. It's an early estimate. It'll change based on construction costs with the well and the water tower, as well as other operating expense increases, but no effect on '25. For the total operating revenue, the increase for '25 was less than 1% in comparison to '24's budget. The total operation and maintenance expense, that increase was also less than 1% in comparison to the '24 budget. For the projected net operating income for '25, it's about $16,000. The net operating income includes the operation and maintenance expense, debt service, and the payment in lieu of tax. But just to note, it does not include the depreciation expense, any interest income, impact fee revenue, or other contributed capital. So that's where the operating income lands. And then with that, it brings our operating cash, projected operating cash to a balance of about $674,000, which just meets our desired operating cash amount of 12 months of operations and maintenance expense, plus the payment in lieu of tax expense. Also to note, the projected water impact fee balance at the end of 2024 is expected to be about $613,000, which we do anticipate spending in full or close to it during 2025 for the planning and project expenses, as it relates to the water tower and the well. Next, we'll look at sewer. So for the sewer utility, we are proposing a sewer usage rate increase of 3%, going from $10.25 in 2024 to $10.56 per thousand gallons in 2025. It brings the total operating revenue increase to 1.1% compared to 2024's budget. It's a mixture of the proposed rate change, but also forecasting the usage across the different customer types. The operations and maintenance expense increases about 2.2% in comparison to the 2024 budget. Most of this does come from the increase from new water. Within the budget, the new water increase is 4.7% at $1,070,510. I know the last meeting, new water was here. They do show a 3.9 increase. We added an additional, there's a true-up charge that we anticipate receiving, so we added that extra bit into the expense. The projected net operating income for '25 is about $211,000. This includes, again, the operations and maintenance expense plus any debt service, which for sewer, there is none in '25. Similar to what we noted about water, it doesn't include the depreciation expense, interest income, or any impact connection fee revenue. With the projected operating income that we just talked about, that's projected, it brings the operating cash to about 1.45 million, which is about 110,000 above our desired operating cash amount for 9 months of operations and maintenance expense. Also in the budget, you'll see the projected implementation of going to connection fees versus impact fees, something we've been working on this year and continue to work with CLA and heirs for beginning of 2025. So next is debt service and capital projects. For the water utility, debt service, 2025 was the last payment for the 2014 refunding bond, or it will be the last payment. So in there, we also included estimates for the 2025 debt issue for the water tower and the well project, which would mean payments start in 2026. Capital projects for water for '25 are the water tower number 2, well number 5, and also the annual meter tops and bases. When we look at sewer debt service, the last payment was made earlier in 2024, and there is nothing proposed for 2025. Capital projects noted are annual lift station pump replacements and Hunter's Run manhole rehab. And then that's the summary and highlights I have of the utility budgets. Are there any questions? Yes.
Just one quick one, a clarification so I understand. So it's a rate increase of 3%. That 3% covers the 4.7 for NEW water and 2.2 or for NEW water, or is NEW water on top of that 3%?
The 3% is worked into the revenue that had the one, where the overall increase is 1.1.
Okay,
So it's kind of a mixture in there, but yes, it does it covers that part of the expense.
okay, thank you. Nice job
Thank you.
on the presentation.
Other questions for Director Demeny? Anyone? Okay, hearing no other questions, is there anyone who would like to offer a motion on this? We're looking for a motion.
I'll offer it. I'd like to make a motion to approve adoption of resolutions 24017 and 24018, the 2025 water and sewer utility budgets, the 2026 through 2029 budgets as a guide, and fee adjustments effective January 1st, 2025.
Do we need two separate votes on this, item A and B? So item 9A, the resolution 24017, and a separate vote on resolution 24018, or do we take those, can we take those both? The motion offered to approve both. I think we should take them separately. Let's take them separately.
Adopted.
So could you modify?
I'd be delighted to.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just a
Okay,
quick clarification. I see I'm at a resolution adopting the 2025
Yes.
water and sewer
That,
utilities.
yes, sorry.
We'll make that correction.
Got missed.
oh, you're
Uh,
trying to keep me from, when I read the thing on A, from saying 2024 to say 2025. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 24017, adopting the 2025 water and sewer utilities budgets.
Thank you. Trustee Romas has offered a motion to approve Resolution 24017, adopting the 2025 water and sewer utilities budgets for the Village of Suamico. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second from Trustee Stevens. All right, any other questions? Then we'll do a roll call, please.
Trustee Stevens.
Aye.
Trustee Andrews.
Aye.
Trustee Eckert.
Aye.
Trustee Neto.
Aye.
Trustee Romas.
Aye.
Trustee McKeefery.
Aye.
President Van Rossum.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously, 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Demeny, was there any further discussion or anything you wanted to add with regard to Resolution 24018, setting the fees for the 2025 village services permits and property use?
Nothing additional.
Nothing additional. All right. Would someone like to offer a motion on item 9B?
I move to approve Resolution 24018, setting fees for 2025 village services, permits, and property use.
Thank you. Trustee
I'll second.
McKeefery has made the motion to approve Resolution 24018, setting the fees for the 2025 village services, permits, and property use, and that has been seconded by Trustee Romas. Any last questions or discussion on this? All right, hearing none, let's do a roll call, please.
Trustee Andrews.
Aye.
Trustee Eckert.
Aye.
Trustee Neto.
Aye.
Trustee Romas.
Aye.
Trustee McKeefery.
Aye.
Trustee Stevens.
Aye.
President Van Rossum.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously, 7-0. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Okay. Item 10A this evening is a fire department item, Resolution 24019, grant. Chief Bertler.
Thank you. Before you is a resolution for support of the radio interoperability grant through the Wisconsin Department of Military Affairs. This resolution acknowledges our support for matching 20% of the grant funds. The funds are currently allocated in the Equipment Replacement Reserve. I believe, yeah, so the actual total match is not $10,000. The quote we received would actually be $9,750 with a total grant cost of $78,750. So the funds are allocated in the Equipment Replacement Reserve. We did receive one grant already this year from the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, which you guys approved, I think, last time. The chances of receiving this grant this year are pretty slim. The priority area is in the southeast Wisconsin. But I was told at a chiefs conference to apply for the grant, and the more applicants they get, that hopefully the state will fund this even further next year, that we have a better chance. I mean, we have a chance this year of getting it, but hopefully the state gets a ton of requests and supports paying for the new radios, kind of statewide. So looking more for support of that match that we would provide.
So it's for radios?
It's for radios. So if you remember on the budget day, in the Equipment Replacement Reserve, you approved $48,750 for radios. We did receive a grant from the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources that we approved last time. I think it was up to $5,500, but this would cover hopefully paying for most of that. But like you said, chances this year are pretty slim, but we're looking for that more or less in the upcoming years.
How long are these radios? How long?
The ones we have now, we bought in 2010 maybe, so probably 15 years. We're looking at, the current replacement schedule has about 4 or 5 each year. Hopefully get some money back from the state to replace these. They said the money is allocated in the Equipment Replacement Reserve already.
Are there other questions for the chief on this item?
Would be happy to offer a motion.
Did you have anything else, trustee Eckert, on this?
I don't think so.
Okay, then certainly, we can certainly entertain a motion.
I would like to offer a motion in support of the resolution for the interoperable grant funding and committing to the 20% match. And I understand the values in this document we received are not exactly precise, but the concept is still
Correct.
the same.
Okay. Trustee Romas has offered a motion to approve Resolution 24019 in support of the interoperable grant funding and committing to the 20% match.
Well said. You corrected me. Thank you. Good job.
Oh, I didn't even realize it,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, no need to be sorry.
I'll offer a second to trustee Romas's motion. Any other further discussion or questions on this? All right. Madam Clerk, could we do a roll call, please?
Absolutely. Trustee Eckert.
Aye.
Trustee Neto.
Aye.
Trustee Gomez.
Aye.
Trustee McKeefery.
Aye.
Trustee Stevens.
Aye.
Trustee Andrews.
Aye.
President Van Rossum.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously, 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 11 this evening is Public Works, a resolution 24020, amending the fee schedule related to additional garbage and recycling carts and well permit late fees. Director Smits,
All right, thank you.
all right.
Over the years, we've had some interest from residents in receiving a second cart, whether it be for garbage or recycling. And we've never offered this service to date, so we talked about it here as staff over the last couple of weeks, and we kind of come up with a plan that we think will work. We summarize the costs associated to the additional service so that can be a possibility for the residents that wish to have a second cart. This service will be non-refundable nor transferable, and this will be written on the service request form so that it's clear that you can't give it to your neighbor when you don't want it, or share it, or want a refund, mid-year if you're not using it to the full extent. We would limit one additional cart per residence, or one additional cart per service per residence, and also only give out 90-gallon carts. We do have 60-gallon carts too for some people that only want, the smaller cart, but for the secondary service, we're gonna assume that you're needing max capacity. We kind of broke it out into a fee per each service, garbage and recycling. Garbage is a little more costly than recycling because of how it's broken out in our garbage and recycling fund and the service that we pay for as a village. So we'd look at a service charge for garbage of $134, a cart setup charge of $110, and a total charge for garbage of $244 for the year. Recycling would be $56 for the service, $110 for the cart setup, and a total of $166. As we were talking through it with staff, if you do apply for this and you have it for one whole year, I think it would just be automatically renewed the following year, and you'd pay for it on your with your taxes, just like you do for our normal garbage recycling program.
So like just all of us get like, what is it, 190 now?
Yep, correct.
So what would they get every year?
Every year that they'd keep that second card, they'd pay their 190 plus 100, 200, or 134
Okay.
if they're going to continue garbage, and or 56 for recycling.
If that's what they want.
Yep.
And the cart setup charge is just a
One-time fee,
One
yep.
time.
That's for us putting together the cart and delivering it.
gotcha, okay.
Yep. Any questions on that before I get into the well permit? Okay. At the Public Works and Utility Commission, we discussed the modification to the late fee for the private well operational permit. So currently, there is a $50 late fee in the fee schedule for people that are non-compliant by the date that their permit expires. We would be looking to implement a $50 per month late fee so that it gives the property owner an incentive to try to get it done on time. $50 isn't huge, and some people just choose to ignore us, so the $50 per month will add up until, we issue the citation and they go through the court process. It may speed them up a little bit and make them want to become compliant a little more urgently. So we'd be looking to make that change as well.
We were looking to hit them harder because you were actually going through a lot of extra work.
Right.
And that's not fair to the people that pay it on time. And it's not fair to Andy. So we thought we'd hit him hard and make him pay so that he wouldn't spend half of his year trying to track these people down. And
Is this fee, so I currently have a well that we use for drinking water. And forgive my ignorance, if we are supposed to have it retested periodically, is it something only that happens when you build or install the well? Or is there another time when you should have the well inspected? Is there like a cycle?
There's no requirement if you're not on municipal water. So you're not on municipal water, there's no requirement for you to test it or have it inspected, I don't think ever, until maybe a home sale.
Okay,
So it's only for customers served by municipal water.
just making sure there wasn't something in there.
Yep, but I'm coming after your well now.
And I wasn't actually saying this, but it's recorded, so.
Yeah, so it's just for wells that were allowed to be retained that are municipal water customers.
So like people maybe want to water their
Correct.
yard.
Yep.
Or fill up a swimming pool or
Mhm.
something.
Do you have a sense in how many folks are non-compliant currently?
We have about 4 or 5 right now that are not compliant. A couple of them are going on year 2 now. So there's a trend with some people, some owners, some people just neglect you and don't care. We send them 3 or 4 notices, couple door hangers. I hand deliver letters and then I hand deliver a citation.
you got better things to do.
Gets me out of the office.
If my memory serves me, this isn't coming from the village of Suamico per
Correct.
se. This is a DNR-driven thing that we are required to enforce.
Yep, it's part of
So
an
you didn't wake up one morning and decide, you know what? We're going to start checking people's wells periodically. You were in the spot where you are forced to do this.
Absolutely. Yeah, our code references NR 810.
Yep. I think that's a misunderstanding some people might have, so I want to clear that up today.
Yeah, and it was a benefit that the village let residents retain those wells after municipal water was served, or to drill a new well if you wish to have one. A lot of communities or municipalities don't allow that at all, period, no wells.
Thank you.
So on a yearly basis, if somebody isn't compliant on this, this could result in $600 being added to their tax base.
Mhm.
And $600 the next year if they chose not to do it for 2 years.
Mhm.
Okay. I mean, the well permit part makes sense to me. I mean, we don't have a lot of people who aren't compliant, but you're exactly right, trustee Eckert, it's not fair to everybody else.
No, and all they have
You
to
don't
do
get to
is
choose the rules that you
do
live
it,
by.
and then it's
Yeah,
good.
the only revenue for that line is the $25 that everybody pays for their permit. So if there's only so many permits a year on an annual basis, and it's only $25 that we're recovering from that for all the staff time that it goes into it, you're actually losing money. Chasing around the 3 or 4 that
Sure.
aren't compliant.
Right, right.
But we have to report that to the DNR when we have our audit on how many wells are not inspected, and then the DNR comes back to us on how we're gonna handle those.
I have one question on the garbage pickup. So with regard to the garbage pickup, has that been discussed with Harder? So my assumption is, as they're coming through, now they could have potentially 4 carts that they have to pick up at any given location?
Right, yep, they said they were open to doing it, and if we sent them the information for those new carts at those locations, they would gladly pick them up. We pay the tonnage bill, and we pay them for their service per cart, I would say, so our charge may go up, a little bit, but you're not gonna notice it.
Okay.
And I believe we're in the minority of not having a program that would allow you to get a second cart.
Are we going to be limiting how many carts? Is it just the one additional?
Just the one, yeah, we can't, I mean, you got, like the President just said, you're gonna have 4, potentially 4 out there already in your driveway.
Yeah.
You're not even gonna get in and out of your driveway without moving a bunch of carts around.
Well, I was thinking more along the lines of the tonnage charge.
Yeah.
We were anticipating that going up if we were to not limit. But if we're only allowing you to get one additional, correct?
Mhm,
Okay.
Correct.
All right. Are there any other questions or items of discussion on this? Anything for Director Smits on this? Questions or comments?
Can I try again on a resolution?
You sure can.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 24020, revising the fee schedule for village services permits and property use for 2024, affecting the additional ability, or the ability to have an additional garbage and recycling cart and the well permit late fee.
All right.
You can just stop here. That's good enough.
What?
No, when you read it, you can just stop here. You don't have to get that.
Okay, trustee Romas has offered a resolution to approve 24020, and I will stop there. Is there a second to that
Second.
motion? A second by trustee Andrews. All right, anybody else with questions or comments on this? Let's do a roll call, please.
Trustee Neto.
Aye.
Trustee Romas.
Aye.
Trustee McKeefery.
Aye.
Trustee Stevens.
Aye.
Trustee Andrews.
Aye.
Trustee Eckert.
Aye.
President Van Rossum.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously, 7-0. Thank you.
All right, item number 12 this evening is discussion on future agenda items. Anybody with any future agenda items that they'd like to discuss?
I'd like to discuss the pavilion at Tix Harbor Lights.
On a future agenda?
Yes.
Okay,
What about it?
Regarding the days,
The what?
the days.
Days?
How about, you want to like discuss something like the consecutive 180 days within the ordinance, maybe?
Yes.
Okay.
so are we looking for you want to review the ordinance, or you want to review specifically how it applies to your bar?
Both, actually. Ordinance and how it applies.
Okay, so I guess we start with the review of the ordinance, maybe? Can we get
State
that?
statute, yeah.
It's a state statute.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, so trustee Neto has asked that this item be put on the next agenda. We do require 2 individuals. Is there another individual?
I
who
will.
would? And trustee Eckert has gone ahead and seconded that for the addition to our first agenda in January. Anybody else with an item? Okay, I guess that's it. So I would look for a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Trustee McKeefery has moved to adjourn this evening's meeting, and trustee Romas has seconded that. Any parting comments?
You're nice and quick, everybody, tonight.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Have a wonderful
Merry
holiday.
Christmas.
All those in favor of adjourning this evening's meeting signify by...
Roll call vote?
Thank you.
Did you
Want
say
to see the
adjourning or
Vikings
returning?
He's sweating.
Me as
Adjourning.
well.
Trustee Romas would like a roll call vote on this.
Yes.
Trustee Romas.
Aye.
Trustee McKeefery.
Aye.
Trustee Stevens.
Aye.
Trustee Andrews.
Seems like it.
Trustee Eckert.
Aye.
Trustee Neto.
Aye.
President Van Rossum.
Nay.
Motion carries 6-1.
Thank you. Figured I might as well just